Hello everybody, welcome back to the video here on Mr. Prepper. Could be my last video on it. I don't believe that they're going to do any more DLC on this, and I don't foresee there being a Mr. Prepper 2, although if there ever is, we'll go ahead and look into that. But today what I wanted to do is go over tips and tricks about the game, or things that you need to know in order to be, prepared. Be Mr. Prepper, be prepped. I'm going to include the tips that you can do at the beginning, and just some general rules as well that you'll want to follow just to have the smoothest gameplay as you possibly can. Now, I will say, if you want to explore and you want to find out what the game offers on your own, you should probably click away from this video. I'm going to just blurt out all the answers and everything that you would find out naturally as you progress. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. This right here, what you're seeing, is a previous build of mine. This is my very first build that I did in the game when I first got it, and so it looks a little bit different from the gameplay loop that we just did. But essentially, the first thing I want to go over is house rules. So when you first start, your house is going to look like that. Basically, there's going to be no bunkers, no nothing. And at the beginning, when you come over here, there's actually going to be 3 barrels, gasoline and oil. There's going to be 3 of them. Just go ahead and grab them and either keep them in your inventory, although they are very heavy, or put them down here in your room and make more rooms to store them down there. The agent, when he comes, does not like those barrels. Okay, so that is the very first tip. That's one of the first things that you want to do. Speaking of the agent, he comes in once a week. So right now we're a few days in after, because I played it a while after. So the last time that the agent came was right here. And as you guys can see, the launch, activate the alarm switch, we're basically on the last one. So we just never completed it on this one. But basically he comes in every week. Let's look back here. I'm not sure why he didn't come in on those other days, or if it's going to show. Yeah, it's not going to show. It just shows the last couple of weeks. So the 26th, Wednesday the 3rd. So the agent comes in once a week. If you are somewhere else when he comes and he misses you, or you miss him, what's going to happen is he's going to leave you a nasty letter and let you know we'll be back tomorrow, and you cannot be avoiding the agency basically. So you got to make sure that you are there. Usually the agent comes around, if you look at the clock up here, at around 1300 hours. What I do on agent days, and what you'll want to do, is if you're looking to make anything or dismantle anything, just store it. And when the agent day comes, that's what you'll do for the first half of your day until the agent comes. You just sit here, you build and you store things. You build and you dismantle things. And that way you're not having to go places or go anywhere else. You're literally just inside your house, and when he comes in, he'll come over here, he will knock on the door, and then there'll be a sign, and it'll gradually get red. So you have a lot of time to get up here, but you won't need most of it. So that's that. Speaking of the agent again, we can't have a hard hat on. We can't obviously have any tools or weapons, but we can keep this warm cloth and the backpack on. How do we know? So if you hover over it, let's go over here. We'll look at the glasses here, green glasses. Every item in the game has that, except for like these cosmetic things, because they don't really matter. But any item that has a use is going to have a pair of glasses here. So let's go ahead and look. Lamp. There's a green glass, green glasses, excuse me. So for all items of the category, lamp, whatever. So if you look at it, it says safe quantity 1 to 3, 1 through 3. So that means that if you have 3 lamps within the house, you are safe. If you have one, only 1, you're safe. If you have 2, you're safe. And then if you have 3, you're safe. If you have a single more lamp than 3, so 4 lamps, you're going to get a warning. Your suspicion is going to rise until you get it into the green zone, which is 1 to 3. So that means that every item in the house has a safe quantity, and the glasses. So if we look at the dryer here, it's yellow. How would you get a dryer? When did you make that? Who did you buy that from? That's not something that the government allows. So how is it that you get this? If you have that and you haven't really been under suspicion, what's going to happen is your suspicion is going to rise, but they better be gone and out of sight the next time he comes. So as an example, the furnace, which is something insane to have in a home, is red, right? If we look at our rifles and our coil gun, red. These are things that you normally would not need. The miner helmet, yellow. So anything that you have on you that's yellow, you remove when the agent comes. We don't want him to see it, period. That's it. And so in the house, if you see things like this, let me go ahead and there we go. 0 to 4. That means that you can grab this plant and completely dismantle it. So you can get rid of all the plants in the house, 0 to 4. So let's pick it up, see what happens. Let's grab it. And what would it give us if we dismantle it? So we would get 2 grand for it, right? But we don't need it in the house. It's a decoration. So, oops, I'm clipping the wrong thing here. There we go. So theoretically, if you really wanted to, you can go through the entire house and get everything that is required that has a requirement of 0 to whatever, and you can dismantle it. Also, you can have some of these books. Everything's going to really be in the safe range because when he comes for the first time, everything's going to be as normal. It's set up as it's supposed to be. But these barrels in the back that you're going to see when you first start, they are not okay being there. You're going to get suspicious. You're not going to get arrested, but you will have some suspicion there. Now, with regards to the agent, he is going to look everywhere. So this board right here, if you turn it around, that's our ultimate escape plan. He can't see that. He cannot see that. So you have to turn that around. And then really as a standard, I just leave that turn to bless the president for the most part, unless I'm really actively remembering that I have to turn that around. And then what you're also going to do when the agent comes is cover up the access to, oops, I didn't mean to do that, the access to the bunker. So when he steps over, he's not going to see anything. Now, when the agent leaves, you have to remember to uncover it. Okay, you have to uncover it. If not, what happens if you press down here? It says I can't go there, right? And you're wondering why is my guy not going? So you have to actually uncover it. Alrighty. Next, electricity here. The electric box. Let me pause it again. The electric box measures the electricity. Now, at first, your electricity and your water is not going to be monitored, but eventually it will be. What I do, because we have the miner's helmet, and for the most part, everything is visible, even at night, is I go and I turn off all the lights in the house. And I also power off the stove. This is at the beginning of the game. That way, this electricity is going to go down and you'll have more electricity to be allocated to lights down here that you're going to need for plants, that you're going to need to be able to see. But at the beginning, if you do that, you're going to be good for a few days, right? And the only thing you should really obviously leave on is your fridge, because you're going to have things that are going to spoil. So that's number one. Your water. Here's your water. For the most part, you're not going to be around as much to collect it that often, but if you collect it more than 3 times, you're going to get suspicion. So honestly, collect it once or twice a day, and then you're going to want to build these buckets, these little buckets, 2 of them. You can only have 2 invisible sites, so you put 2 of them here, boom and boom. And so when it rains, it collects extra water, and every bucket full to the brim, it's going to represent 1 unit of water. Collecting from the sink is 5 units of water. So in total, if it rains and you're in the house while it rains, you can actually get the water into 2 buckets, and then after that it should fill up a second time. So you could potentially get 4 units from that. Okay, so the next thing, these are general house rules that we're going over with the agent as well. The next thing that I want to say to you is do not do anything above ground. Okay, just treat your house at the top as if it has nothing to do with the game. That is a great rule of thumb that I sometimes don't follow. But at the beginning, when you're first starting, you may not be really remembering things. You can store things in the wardrobes. You can store things right here in the cupboard. And what happened to me in the gameplay is that I had 12 bait or 13 bait, and he found it. The agent found it because I forgot to get it out of there, and he arrested me for it. So I had to restart my day over. So if you can remember that you have all the stuff there, go ahead, leave it there. And then obviously when the agent comes, you take it out or you put it below. A good rule of thumb is just put everything below, right? Treat your above house like the agent's coming every day. And if you do that, you should be good. Okay, so let's get into the food portion. So at the beginning of the game, you're not going to have anything. You may have some canned food stored in the fridge, but those things, they're going to be gone quick. So what you want to do is start getting money and start getting things together to go ahead and be able to facilitate having more food and expanding your bunker, right? As a first thing is you should keep in mind that eventually as you progress in the game, you're going to want to prioritize getting the dryer. Now the dryer, what it does is it dries things, right? Like your guarana seeds, your guarana fruit and meat, any type of meat. If you put it in there, it will dry it. When you dry it, it's going to last significantly longer. So it's very important that your first priority to build is going to be the dryer itself. And obviously you're going to be progressing through the game and you're going to get the parts to build it. But make that a priority, because when you begin to have the dryer there and you get meat from the animals and putting traps, you're going to use the dryer to basically get dried meat, and dried meat will carry you basically until the end of the game if you wanted to, because it's easy to come by and it heals quite a bit. Look at that. And it lasts pretty much forever. So it's really great to have. But of course, at the beginning of the game, you're going to ask yourself, well, how do I get food? Well, there's going to be two ways. Okay. Way number one, what I do at the beginning and for quite a bit until I get the dryer, is I make, I'll show you right now, blueberry smoothies. It's part of the basic recipe, so you can actually go and collect blueberries, and as long as you have 6 of them, you can make a blueberry smoothie. Now, blueberry smoothies, it's not that they heal a lot, but it's a reliable source because they grow back on the forest. So if a whole day goes by, or about a day and a half, you can go back to the forest and collect as many of them as you can, and usually you can make about 3 or 4 smoothies. And the smoothie itself it's good. And what you can do is you can put the blueberries in here. These are dry guaranas, don't worry about that. But you can put the blueberries in here, and this brings us to our next thing. Every piece of food item is going to have a color behind it. So right now, these guarana, because they're dried, they last significantly longer. And down here in our freezer, this is something that you'll get way later in the game, but in the freezer itself, we have corn, eggs, cucumber, and tomatoes. These things go bad much quicker. So if you leave them in the normal fridge, what's going to happen is they're going to start changing colors, and they're going to start getting into a darker green color, and then into a yellowish, and then into the red. Once they get into the red, that means it's getting close to spoiled. One thing that you can do to avoid that is you grab the blueberry, let's say that it's going bad, and you have 2 options. Either you use that blueberry to make a smoothie and it resets the health to green, so you have a smoothie at green. Or if you have a separate stack of blueberries that are green, you can mix the stacks and it actually improves the health of the red. It's part of the game. It doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. That's not the point. So as an example, let's pretend that we had, let's do this actually. I can separate this. Now for some reason, when we separate it, it doesn't have a backdrop here, this tomato, but whatever. Let's pretend that it was green and green. if this tomato right here was getting close to red, you could actually join it here and it would become whatever that is, or become significantly healthier. So that's a tip. If you see a food that's going bad, then you can go ahead and mix them together. Now on to how are we going to get food? How are we going to get meat? Well, you have two ways. One, you might be able to go to the mine and kill rats, and it'll drop meat occasionally. But another way you can do it is by making traps. So you go here, a simple trap is available on the basic level. It'll tell you need 1 wood, a simple trap for catching some innocent critters. So when you make this, I'll make one right now and I'll show you. When you make this, it takes 1 wood and it'll last for 4 catches. So what I like to do, and this is what you should do honestly to save on resources, is wait for the 3rd catch. On the 3rd catch, instead of leaving it a 4th time and resetting it with bait, what you're going to do is dismantle it. Now if we look at the dismantle, it's going to give us, come on, it's going to take us 1 wood, right? Basically, if we dismantle it, we get 1 wood. But to build it, it also takes 1 wood. And this 1 wood dismantle does not change even if it's bright red and is about to break. So once this turns bright red, you're going to go ahead and disassemble it. And then with the same amount of resources that you disassembled and got, you're going to remake it again and it'll be back to healthy. This also applies to pickaxes and axes and knives. I don't have a knife now, but I think it should be here. Bats as well, excuse me. And the knife, yeah. So every time that you break something down, most of the time, at least for the tools, it's going to give you the same amount of resources that you would need to make it again. So if you see something's going red, unequip it, switch to another weapon, bring it back to the house, break it down, and remake it again. There's no point in wasting it. So, but for the simple trap itself, you can use these at the beginning. I don't like to. I like to prioritize just the berries, but you can definitely use the trap. It's going to catch something every single 24 hours. So once you set it, 24 hours later, there'll be something there for you. It can range from meat, and it actually also depends on what level of the forest you are. You'll see that there'll be a sign in the forest that'll tell you what you can catch there. And occasionally you'll get maybe some tusks or something that's going to be more profitable. And sometimes the things that you get, like the profitable tusk, you can sell it to the Huntress. So the Huntress is somebody that you're going to get as you level up. It'll be relatively quickly, but you'll be able to sell those things to her, which will be another source of income. But primarily the reason for the traps is for the meat. That way you can dry it or you can cook it if you don't have the dryer yet, and it's a good source of food. For energy. Now, at the beginning, energy is kind of a pain because you need to nap in order to restore energy. There's really no way. When you first start, I believe that you do have some of these in there, the energy drinks. I would save those for the occasions where you have to be out and maybe on a quest or you're out a little bit longer, so you don't have to come back and nap. But you're going to run out of those relatively quickly. So the best way to go ahead and find a source of stamina regeneration is with the dryer again. So I have here, let me see, do I have it in here? Yeah, guaranas. These are the guaranas. Now I'm growing them now, obviously I'm later in the game, but once you get to level 3 of the forest, you'll be able to go to the forest and pick guarana. Guarana, if you eat it by itself, it will restore health, but by itself will not give you any stamina regeneration. If you put the guarana in the dryer, what you're going to get is dried guarana. And you can just eat these and it restores energy. Right? Good. So that's one way at the beginning that you're going to kind of make yourself have more energy available. So berry smoothie for food. Dried meat eventually. So starting blueberry smoothie and then dried meat. You can cook the meat if you haven't got your dryer yet, but really, realistically speaking, you want to be shooting for the dryer. Then once you collect your second recipe book, which you'll be able to buy from, I believe, the Gourmet, you are not going to be able to start making energy drinks. And this is going to change the whole game up. Energy drinks take 3 dried up guarana, but they basically restore about 60% of your energy. So these are going to be basically your to-goes for most of the game until you get later on. As you can see, I have 20 and 15 stockpiled and a bunch of dried guarana, and I have guarana in here drying as well. So you'll be using that to get your energy at the beginning. Then later on in the game, you're going to be able to make a coffee machine. This is actually part of the update that came a few months ago, and they've added coffee, a coffee machine. With the coffee machine, you can grow coffee. I believe these are coffee beans that I planted, and you have a coffee machine that makes it pretty much quickly. So I have one here. You can drink it, and if I was to be at 0 stamina, the coffee, 1 cup of coffee, will literally put me to full. So it's very good, but the coffee machine, to make it, if we look, takes 2 electronic, 6 plastic, and 8 metal. Now the metal at the beginning is not really that important. However, the electronic and the plastic are very rare at the beginning. They're very precious because you're going to be using it for a lot of things, and the dryer should have priority over the coffee machine because the dryer has multi-function. It does more than one thing. So where is the dryer here? Here it is. 1 electronic and 8 metal. So you only need to find 1 electronic and you should make this ASAP. But the coffee machine will be good eventually. Now, these seeds, you can grow them or you can buy them from Jenny and she'll sell them to you, so that way you can grow them, or you can buy them from the supermarket. Do not buy them from the supermarket. It's a waste of money. But once you have them, you can just use it. It'll take the seed from you and make it. This is pretty quick. It's almost as quick as the dryer, I would say. Now, the next thing I want to get into is combat. Okay, so at the beginning, you're only going to have a bat. So it's not going to be very efficient. However, for the level enemies that you have, it'll be perfectly fine. So when you have that bat, you're going to have to basically swing it. I know it sounds stupid the way I'm saying it, but you're going to be swinging it. And the enemies are going to have a particular action. So why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and build a bat. Not Lucille. Just a normal bat. Takes 5 wood. And let's go to just a normal level, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so here we are. We have our bat equipped, and we have here a bat, coincidentally. So when you start playing, you're going to do Q and E. Now, it doesn't matter what way you're facing. If you press Q, you're going to turn that way and swing that way. And if I'm facing this way and I press E, I'm going to swing to the right, or my right. So as you approach, they're going to have an idle. They're idle right now. They haven't detected me, so they're just doing their own thing. But you'll notice that once we get close, we'll go into combat. There, now it hits me. So we're going to take a couple hits and we're going to look at this. Every enemy in the game has an action. Hits me, flies away. Hits me, flies away. Hits me, flies away. Same things for rats. Same things for snakes. Oh, I don't have any food, so let me go ahead and kill it. There we go. So that's a good example right there. I want to show that. So I just hit it and it did not die in one swing because I have a bat and it's not as strong. What you can do in this situation is, instead of just sitting there and swinging on it and tanking the hits, what you can do is just go in, back away. All right, so let me find, is there another one around here? No, not here. Let's go down one more. So that bat that's right here, I'm going to swing at it and it won't kill it on the first try. So what we can do is go ahead, swing, back away, swing. So you swing and you back away. Swing, back away. You want to back away a bit more, and depending on how many enemies, maybe a lot more, because they need to perform their action before they can hit you. So basically you could literally do this for all enemies, and I'll show you right here. You can swing. Oops, I missed them. So that's another thing. You have to make sure you get them. Got to get close enough. Swing, back away. Swing, back away. And so when you do that, basically you're going to avoid taking damage. Now I took a bunch of damage because I was tanking those hits at the beginning to illustrate it. But that is basically the way that you're going to want to fight. That way you're not solely relying on food. However, if you do need to rely on food, the best way to do it is to grab the food, the particular item, and stick it in your quick slot. So you have 4 quick slots here. Pause the time here real quick because it continues to go. And so you see that I equipped that item in my quick slot. And it goes from my inventory to the quick slot. One thing that you'll notice is that when I put it from my inventory to the quick slot, look at the weight. Currently at 31. Now it's at 29. If I take off the bat, it gives me the weight. So anything that you're equipped on you is not really going to matter towards weight. But I digress. The point here we're trying to talk about is the quick slot. Quick slot is very nice because it lets you just press the number 1 or the number 2 or the number 3 or the number 4 to use the item. So what I generally would do is equip the food in number 1, and if you have any grenades you can put it in number 2, right? So right now, let's see, I won't do anything and I'll press 1 and then we just healed our stamina, and you can put food in there and grenades. So that is basically a good way to make sure that you survive when you're out there. Now as far as combat goes, essentially that's pretty much all there is to it at the beginning. As you play the game, you're going to realize that there's other ways, there's going to be new weapons, excuse me, that you're going to be able to use that are more effective than not. Eventually throughout the game, you're going to get the knife. Now the knife is going to be actually your best bet for a good chunk of the mid game. Eventually you're going to find the gun and you're going to have to talk to Joe to fix it. But in the meantime, you're going to be using the knife. So it's as a good practice, you want to build 2 to 3 knives, equipped one, and then whatever tool you need, like the axe or the pickaxe if you're going to the mine, or the axe if you're going to the forest, and then having 2 knives as backup, right? So you have 1 knife equipped, 2 as backup, or 1 as backup, and you use that knife until it's red. Okay, next is, well, what exactly am I going to do about money? Because money is very, very important in this game. And let me show you why right now. So here I've logged into the Mr. Prepper Let's Play gameplay. And here I'm going to show you guys what you're going to see when you first start the game. You're not going to have most of these, pretty much none of these. Okay, so you're going to slowly start uncovering them. But let's go ahead and click on Jenny. She's going to be one of the first ones that you meet. And we see a trust level up here. Okay, now you can either buy from her or sell from her options. This may change on a daily basis. And money is very essential to the game. The reason being is that the only way that you're going to be able to grow their trust is by buying a lot of things from them, like seeds and such. And the second way would be selling, but primarily one of the fastest way to do this is by buying. And that applies to pretty much all the vendors. Some of them don't buy anything from you, so it'll only be an option of buying from them, like the supermarket here and the Jetsons. So you're gonna need money to max out the Jetsons, and you're gonna want to, because eventually you have more money than you have at the beginning. And one of the things that you're going to be able to do is buy electronic components or buy electronics from the Jetsons to break down to get electronic parts. So money is very, very, very essential in this game. It basically allows you to move forward and grow your trust with all the important vendors. Okay, so at the beginning, you're not going to have a lot of ways to make money, but a good reliable way is going to be number 1, through Jenny. And that's going to be through beets. Now, she may give you some beet seeds, and you are actually going to find some seeds in one of these cupboards. And what you're going to want to do is grow beets. Beets essentially will sell for 5 each. Now at the beginning, you're not going to have access to corn, the cucumbers and tomatoes and all that. You're pretty much only going to have carrot, blueberry, cabbage, I think tomato, and beet. And that's pretty much it at the beginning. And so when you grow the seeds, if we look at here, where are the beet seeds? They're $2 each. But you're going to get beets back that you're going to be able to sell for $5. So you're going to be making a profit from that, and it's pretty consistent. Now, there will be days that Jenny just doesn't want to buy beets, right? So you want to be mindful of the health of the beets themselves in the fridge, and be on the lookout for when she puts beets on sales. So that's going to be your very first way of making money. This is your first consistent way. The second way is going to be through Nancy, which you'll unlock. Now, for Nancy, you can't buy anything from her, but you can sell her things. Usually it's books, white cup, wood chair, table, and shelf. Luckily, we have the 2 things that you're actually going to want to sell to her, which is table and shelf. Initially, they won't be for 16 as you see it here. It'll be less. It's more for me because I have the books that allow me to sell and buy for less and sell for more. But the point here is that you're going to want to make 2 tables and 2 shelves and just keep them. Every day she's going to buy things, and some days she may not want to buy any of it, or both of them, or just one. And you're going to just sell 2 of them, and basically you're going to get 30 from that. And it takes 5 wood. Okay. Now, where are you going to get the wood? This is the best part. It's absolutely disgustingly free. You're going to go to the forest, and you're just going to pick up the big old logs. Okay. See these logs right here? Pick them up. Another one here. Another one here. And another one right here. Look at that. And we're only in the first level. You can go deeper into the woods. Okay. Let's look at the logs. If you hover over them, every single log is going to give you 5. So the way you have to view this is every time you pick up a log, it's worth about $15. So right now we have 15, 30, 45, 60. We have $60 from those 2 logs if we can manage to sell them to Nancy. So that's going to be your other way to make money. And so you want to every 24 hours come back here and pick up those logs. Pick up those logs, take them back, dismantle them. And obviously you're going to need wood for other things as well. But if you want to make money, you can just take a few days and collect logs over and over, dismantle them, get 5 wood. And they don't even take that long to dismantle. So you get 5 wood from each of these. Okay. And so those 2 ways at the beginning are going to be your biggest money makers. Okay. You also have a third way to make money, and it's not really as consistent because it really depends on luck. So when you, Jesus, this pause button. Okay, so when you set those simple traps, if you choose to go that way, I personally don't always like to do it. It's a, it just depends how I'm feeling. But if you choose to go with the simple trap, you're going to have to buy bait from the Huntress. Okay, right here. You're going to have some in the house when you begin, so you can use those to start, but you're going to have to buy bait. Okay, so be mindful of that. But from that bait, you're going to be setting those traps, and it's potentially you can get like a foxtail or a tusk or antlers from a deer. And those things, if you see here, are worth money. Okay, so wolf skins, you could potentially get wolf meat and wolf skins from a wolf, feathers, raccoon tail, foxtail, tusks, and antlers. Obviously, the ones that you really want are the foxtail, tusks, and antlers, but it's random, right? So when you go to the forest and you place your trap, and it also depends on the kind of animal that's available there. So when you see the sign, click on it, it'll tell you the type of animal that's there, and it'll let you know what potentially you could get from the trap as it catches things. So it may be a day that you go and you catch a tusk, right? And you have $38 just from the trap itself. And so when you look at it, every trap has 1 bait, and I believe it's $3 to begin with. So if you catch a wolf skin, and you can get more than one, you basically earned money from that. If you can catch any of these, you earn a lot, and if you can catch meat, then you have food. Okay, so those are going to be your money making opportunities at the beginning. As you move on with the game, other opportunities will prop up, but at the beginning, those are going to be the essential ones. Now, my last tip is going to be basically for you to have a mindset. Okay, this game is not just a survival game, it's a time management and resource management game, right? So we have our health, and we have our stamina, and we have our preparedness. Okay, the way that you keep your preparedness up is by maintaining your health up and your stamina. I'll show you right now. Do I have any food on me? Okay, I do, but that's not going to be enough. That blueberry is not going to be enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and eat a piece of meat. Really, dude? Really? Where are you going? So when we eat a piece of meat, you're going to notice that when our health goes up, our preparedness is going to go up. Look at that. Went up a bit. Went up even more. Now it's still low because our stamina is below the 50% mark, right? So let's eat. We're back to full. And you're going to see that it's going to slowly go back up to that. And every time that we do that, you're going to see these little icons. It's plus stamina, plus preparedness, plus health. The more stamina and the more health that you have, the more preparedness you'll have. Okay. Another thing that gives you preparedness is harvesting. Look at that. Plus guarana, plus preparedness. So that mask that you see there, that mask is for this preparedness. So the reason why you want to keep up your preparedness is because if that goes down to zero, you faint, you pass out. You faint and you will pass out, and you wake up, I think, around 24 hours later or 12 hours later. I can't remember how much exactly. But if you do that, what happens is you lose time. You lose time, and if the agents come the next day, you could run into a situation where you miss him, and now he has to come back the next day and he's all angry. So you don't want to pass out. It's just a waste of time. If you have plants that you're growing, essentially what's going to happen is if they don't have water, they could potentially die. And it's just passing out is not what you want. So you always want to make sure that you're prepared. So how do we do that? At the beginning, as I was saying, is you want to have a mindset. The mindset is having a schedule. Okay. You wake up, the first thing that you do, you get your health up, you get your stamina up. Then you check what is going on here. There we go. And then you check the water. Okay. No water yet, or maybe it is. Collect them. And then you go and you check your plants and you check everything, right? You look at your quest list here and you see what you can do or what you want to do that day. And if you just don't want to do the quest yet, you want to focus on making money and gathering resources, you can. Because ultimately, that's the most important thing about this game. There is no time limit, okay? There is no time limit at all. It doesn't matter if you finish this game or if you finish the quest and if you finish the story in 1,000 days or in 30 days. It just doesn't matter. So if you want to take an entire month of gathering a bunch of money, of gathering a bunch of resources and just building your bunker to your heart's content, you can do that. But bear in mind, there's going to be some limitations with the quests themselves. Sometimes quests will unlock certain things. So bear that in mind. Right. But yes, a schedule, basically having that, the maintaining everything and just making sure that you have everything tip top and you have control over everything is what's going to make sure that you have, a pleasant time playing this game and not passing out. Right. And that's really going to be the most important thing here, because if you start forgetting things, you could get arrested like I did, just messing up because I left 12 bait or 13 bait in a cupboard where normally I would grab it when he comes, and I just forgot. Right. But I would have known if I just check my calendar, I see what's going on for the day and say, okay, I need to remove things that he could potentially find. Oh, and one more tip. I forgot to mention this. This is something that I actually read online a few days ago, is that you're going to get this newspaper every week. Okay. This newspaper is going to be right here on the front. You have to go and pick it up and read it. Okay. I'll tell you why. Let's go ahead and open it. So we can see on here that it says, this is our truth, whatever. Postman lost Mr. Postman. Basically, he's missing. Now, you're going to have different types of articles on the newspaper. Okay. But when you read this, it's actually going to let you know what's going to happen in the calendar. Right. So even though it doesn't say it necessarily on the newspaper, it just has a very broad idea. What's going to happen is that it's going to highlight the red markings on your calendar for what's going to happen. So whether the postman is missing, you're going to have no energy, you're going to have no water, it'll appear on here. So that way you're never surprised and you can always keep up to date. So make sure that you're reading the newspaper, as that's going to highlight the events. So let me see if we can see any other events. Yeah. So on month 2 that I was playing the game, essentially there was 2 days right here. We had no water, the electricity there. And if you don't read the newspaper, sometimes it will catch you by surprise that same day. And I think then it populates it all. But just to be extra prepared, you want to go ahead, read that newspaper, and you'll know exactly what's coming. Alrighty guys, well that's going to conclude the general tips and tricks. This is really more for the beginning, because the game can be a little bit overwhelming at the beginning. There's a lot of aspects of the game that basically the game doesn't tell you, and you have to kind of figure out, or you consult other people or look it up online. But if you guys have any questions, if you need any general tips or any ideas moving forward wherever you are in the game, you can go ahead and leave a comment. And if you haven't already, you can go ahead and watch the Mr. Prepper playthrough that I did. And we kind of went over and I followed most of the things that I said in this video. But with that, thank you for joining me today, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye now.